Good evening, everyone. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are going to be working with the Glowforge Aura um, to work on a variety of different earrings that you can make with the Glowforge Aura in different materials and lots of fun ideas for you. Now, I have my laptop up because we'll be using the software. I usually have a little bit more space, but anyway, so a lot of the techniques we'll talk about with the Glowforge Aura, you can use if you're making keychains or if you want to make earrings, bracelets, anything with wood or acrylic is our main material this evening that we'll be working with. So why don't we dive in? I have a couple of different projects. I thought I'd take us sort of easy and then a little bit harder types of projects. Now, if you're not familiar with the Glowforge Aura, this is a diode laser cutter. So one of the things that's very important with these types of cutters is that you have a filtration system. So I have my Glowforge Aura. There's a big tube back here that I vent out the window. If you don't have a window, you can use a filter that the tube goes into and filters out the impurities and things like that, so you don't get any toxins in the air. So just keep that in mind if you haven't jumped on the Glowforge bandwagon yet, that you want to be able to have a space to vent it. Other than that, it's a little bit of a learning curve because the materials are there's so many different materials that you can work with. The first types of materials I want to talk about this evening are the Glowforge Proofgrade materials. Now, they have wood types of materials. So this is a cherry hardwood material, and I have the acrylic here. And what you'll notice about these materials is in the bottom corner here, there is a QR code. When you put the material in the machine, it recognizes what that material is. So why don't we get started with some earrings using, let me find my piece of material here. We're going to get started using the acrylic. This is the Eco Thin acrylic, and I'll share my screen so you can see how the Glowforge will recognize it right away. So let me let's just go into here. I'm just closing out some of the windows I have open. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in my machine. Now, I haven't cleaned my machine. I've been cutting for a couple days, really since this morning. I cleaned it this morning, and then I've been cutting a lot, but I have been cutting a variety of different materials over a variety of days. Usually, if you're cutting that much, you'll clean it once or twice throughout the cuts. So I did have a piece that I was working with that I wanted to show you all that as I was cutting it, I had used a setting that I cut this little corner out of. And when I went to cut out this leaf, it didn't cut through. And I thought, that's weird. Why did that happen? Well, I cleaned out the machine and then I did it again, and it cut beautifully right through the material. So if you're having trouble cutting your material, one thing is you may need to clean out your machine. The other issue sometimes is, pardon me, that your material might be warped in your machine. So you may want to hold it down with tape. Some people use electric tape. Some people use just not electric tape. What's that silver tape? Is it electric tape? You know what I'm talking about. Duct tape. Thank you. Yes. So use duct tape and hold it down with duct tape, or like earth magnets. Really strong earth magnets will hold it down, and you can also cut out pins that fit in the little holes and will hold your material down. The warp material can really cause you a lot of problems. So with the proof grade materials, I actually haven't had any warping issues with the proof grade materials, which is really nice. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen here with everyone. Let's see. So this is my screen here, and let's go ahead. I'm going to delete these off of here. So on my workspace, you can see that the material is recognized in the workspace. It scans in this QR code and it recognizes what material you have. Now, to get started, you can either go into the Glowforge community and select a product from there to cut, or you can upload artwork. So for our first project, I'm going to upload the artwork. And what I've decided for the first ones are, I think this is it. Yes, this is the one. It's just a really simple file, and it'll take about 6 minutes to cut it out. So you just upload it, you navigate to where it is on your computer, you bring it in, and then you may have to resize it. So the earrings size that I want to make the earrings is about 2 inches. So I'm just going to grab both of these earrings, move them over to a spot on my material that I can cut, and then resize them. Now, if I go down here where that little ruler is, you'll be able to see that what size your design is. So I think about the width I'm looking for is about 2 inches on each one of these. So let's see if that does it for me. So yeah, that's about 2 inches and about 2 3/4 of an inch tall, which is still a little bit big. So I'm going to come down just a bit more. And it's really up to you what size you would like them to be. So this one will be about 2 1/4 inches tall, which is great, and about 1.64 inches wide. Now, from here, you can move them to position your earrings where you may have a little space. So I could position it, one earring could go right here and fill in this space where I have a hole, or I could leave them both up at the top. But I like to maximize my material. I'm sure you guys do as well. So once you have them positioned on your canvas, you want to then select what you're going to do with the earrings. So for these first earrings, we're actually just going to cut them out. So I click on the earring design and I select cut. Now, since I'm using the Proofgrade material, the cut settings are already set for me. So it's saying it's going to use a speed of 15, power of 10, and it will pass by 2 times. Now, if I wanted to, I could speed this up and try out different speeds, see if I went a little faster, if that would work better. But I think I'm just going to use the settings that they recommend. So I'm just going to double check they're in there and there's not going to bump up or anything, move out of the design. Then we're just going to go ahead and select print. Now, once that happens, the software is going to communicate with your cutter. So the first thing it's going to do is make sure that you have the material in there, that it can recognize the material, and it'll just kind of like calibrate itself, and it'll be auto-focusing and making sure it's ready to do that first print for you. Once that happens, my light will start flashing. So you kind of want to watch for your light to flash. And then it'll tell me that tells me it's ready to start cutting. Now, once it starts to cut, you don't want to interfere with the cut. So I don't want to open the lid or jostle it or move it in any way. I'll just let it do its thing. If I notice that it's not cutting through, that might be a reason why you would turn it off and come back to it. But I think we're just going to let it do its thing. Now, this one is a little bit longer of a cut. I'm thinking I'm just going to do one of the earrings on this cut. So it doesn't take so long to print. Let me just do this. I'm going to cancel that print and we're just going to do one of the earrings because I have a couple projects. Forgot it was 10 minutes to do that. So I canceled that. Now it's just going to recalibrate and it will do the preparing to print a second time. And then it should only take about 5 minutes, the next one. Let's hope. So if you have questions while it's cutting, please do go ahead and drop those in the Q&A so we can answer those questions. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit that flashing light and it's going to go ahead and start doing the cutting for me. Now, while it's working, I can be doing other things around my craft space. I do like to stay close by it, so that I can, if anything were to go awry, I'm close by and I can take care of it. Now you'll notice in the software here, I've opened this back up because you'll notice on the side here, there is a chat going on. And the chat is sometimes it's really helpful to see what other people are working on, or maybe they're troubleshooting something, and you can go to this community and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this. Can somebody help me? Another great community is on Facebook. There are lots of Glowforge communities that you can join, and they'll give you lots of assistance and help. So that's always a good spot to go to. So while that's working, do you want to do a split screen so I can of my overhead, and I'll talk about some of the tools we're going to use to make the earrings. All right, perfect. So over here, I have some of my tools I'm using. One of the tools we'll use later on, this is called a caliper. And what a caliper does is it measures the thickness of items. So as I work with different materials that are not proofgrade, you need to be able to tell the machine how thick those materials are. So I use the caliper to do that. And you can do, if you're doing the inside of something, you would use these two little pieces here. If you're doing the outside, you would use the bigger pieces. And this just slides up and down. And it basically will tell you how thick your material is in inches or millimeters. So this is definitely something you want to have, and you'll use a lot. Then we're going to have, we will be doing some painting on wood. So I have some paint pens. They're acrylic water-based paint pens that we'll use to paint on some of the acrylics. We also have our hardware. So the hardware you're going to work with for the earrings, you can use a variety of different types of hardware. For these little bat earrings, we would use the jump rings as well as the earrings. So these are like the little hook earrings like that. So those are the types of earring hardware you would use. Now you can also make your own little cards right on the laser. It cuts paper. So you can cut out paper and have little cards if you sell or gift your cards. Like those are super fun. We will be using,
do you think you can show them a little bit closer to the camera?
The completed earrings?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that still in focus?
Yeah, I think so. It was just a little bit hard to see the components you were talking about.
Let me see if I can bring it even closer. There you go. So these are the jump rings on the side here. We'll use these little jump rings, and then your earring parts are these little hooks. And I apologize, my fingers, the wood, when it comes out of your cutter, will have like this burn feeling to it. So at first you might get a little burn on, like a little burnt on your hands. You can use wipes to wipe that right off, or alcohol wipes will take that right off. But I do have that still on my hands. So those are some of the tools we'll use. And to work with those, you'll need to have those pliers, like your jewelry pliers. There also are just earring backings. So these types of earrings have just the little post earrings is what they're called. And you just have a little post there that you're working with. You can see that. And that's just a really easy way to put things together. And I will be using the E6000 glue. So if you're gluing pieces together, this was cut out of one type of material, and then another one was glued on top. So however you like to wear these, you can, switch them around. And then I use the little jump rings as well as the earring holders. So those are a couple of the different tools we'll need. I'm sure there will be other tools as we get going that I'll need to pull up and make sure we have handy. Get that sure I'm focused sharp there. Okay. All right, so we have 20 seconds left on our cutter. And I don't know if you guys can see. I think you can see from where you are. Now, when your acrylic comes out, it has a masking on it. So any of your acrylic, when you cut, will have a little masking on it. And it's like masking tape, and you have to peel that off. But what that does is the masking helps to prevent the laser from burning onto your acrylics or anything like that. Okay, so it completed. Now it's going to do a cool down. And so you don't want to open your machine right away. You kind of want to let it cool down for a minute. And that'll get any of the fumes out of there. So once it's all that's cleared away, doesn't take long. You can open this up and pull out your material. So you have both a positive and a negative. So from our earring, not pretty, we'll take it over to the camera and get close. You have little pieces that kind of come out, so you can use these if they work for you. But you do want to make sure that you pick up all the little pieces out of your cutter. So you don't want to have those lingering around on the bottom. It's called the crumb tray down there. So you want to make sure you pick those out and you don't have those in there. Now I do use, let me grab my little, I do sometimes employ my little weeder tool to help take off the masking. So again, that masking prevents the any burn from going onto the material. And I know it's hard to see because this is black, but you will sometimes, you might see it on other pieces of jewelry. So I just like to use either my fingernails, if you have fingernails. I've been doing a lot of painting recently, and it's done a number on my home, like painting walls, and it's done a number on my nails. But we're just going to pull that right off, and look how shiny and beautiful that is. So this is a nice little Halloween design. I kind of picked out a number of Halloween designs to use. So you don't want to dig in too far with your weeding tool because you don't want to scratch that acrylic. So you just want to like get enough of a start on the masking to help you peel that off. You can also, if you rub it with alcohol and a soft cloth, that will help take off all the masking. Believe it or not, like if you do a lot of these, like if you're going to a market and you're selling these, after you pull off a lot of these, it can like start hurting your nails. Just because it's a lot to rub off, but there's our first earring. And then I just need to add hardware to it. So I can choose silver or gold if I wanted to. See, this is a really pretty silver. Let's try. Yeah, let me try these earrings. These are pretty. So these are in the jewelry aisle at Michael's, and they're bead landing fish hooks with coil. So it has like a little coil on it, and they have these in black and gold and silver and like a bronze color. And then you just need your little jump ring. So I'll try and do this as close up to the camera as I can. So once you have your jump ring, I think that works. What you're going to do is you're going to open your jump ring. So this is where I use my little tweezers, my pliers, and you hold the jump ring in one hand with the tweezers, and then you twist it open. So you just hold that and then turn it counterclockwise. And then all you have to do is take your acrylic piece and your earring piece, and you put those on where the opening is. And then we're just going to take that and kind of rotate it the different back over clockwise and lock that in place. And so now you've got that earring out of the acrylic. And if you want to cut out some holders for your earrings, you can just pop that right on there. You can make these bigger, smaller, whatever you need to do. So that's the first project working with acrylic. The next project, we're going to cut out two different acrylic pieces, and link them together with a jump ring and then use the post backing style. So for this one, I'm using material that is not, let me get my colors here. I'm using material that is not a proofgrade material. So these materials I got from a company called Houston Acrylics, and you can find acrylic on Amazon, on like from specialty stores. Houston Acrylics is one of them, and they have a specific area that you can, that is just for the diode lasers. So you have to make sure you get the right materials. And what I like to do is I take those materials and I cut out my little square with them. So you can see at the top here, I've cut out my little square. So this is my orange. And I mark it with the color and the settings of that material. So when I go to cut that material, I know, what settings I need to cut that material. So let's go on over to the machine and we'll put this in the machine. Now, this is one of the types of materials that you're going to need to know your width of the material. So this is 0.12. So I'll show you when we get into the software where it asks you for that. So, okay, now this is a fun thing. Let me move my computer so I can show this to you guys. Let's see. On your Glowforge, let's close that up. On your Glowforge, you have a little side door. Now, if you have the smaller Glowforge, which is the Spark, it won't have this side door. But basically, what that side door does is it allows you to take material that is larger than the bed and slide this right into the machine. So I just can open that door and I slide this right in to the machine. Now, some of it is just going to be hanging out. So I'll have a little bit out of the side, and that's okay. And then the rest of it is all inside, ready to be cut. You can actually cut the full 18 inches of the board or even longer, and you just slide the board through the gates. It opens up on this other side as well. So you would just slide it right on through. Make sure that works. There we go. So now you'll see it come out the other side. I'm like a magician. You know how those magicians in the box and they cut somebody in half? So I feel like right now. All right, so you can see it just comes right out the other side here. And I can just move, I would move it down, reposition what I'm cutting, and then start cutting again. So we'll put this right back in here. And we will cut our next design. So with this, now I'll share my screen again. And please don't, if there are questions that come up as we're moving along, please don't hesitate to interrupt and ask those questions. So sometimes if you wait a bit, then you're like, oh, I forgot, what was I going to ask? So please do pop those in and don't wait till the end to ask those questions. Okay, so now you can see on my screen, I have that material that's in the machine and I'm ready to grab something different to create. So for this one, we're going to upload again. And I have these little acrylic boho style earrings we're going to use. Now, all the earrings that I'm uploading are from a website called Creative Fabrica. So I would encourage everyone to check that out. If you don't find what you are looking for in the Glowforge catalog, you may want to just check that out and find designs there as well. You can import any design to cut. It has to be an SVG file. So now to select my material, I'm going to be using uncertified material, and it's 0.11 inches. And this is the orange. Double check. Yes, this is my pastel orange. So I need to choose an unknown material, and I want to select to cut that material. And then I'm going to come down and give it my own manual settings. So my speed that I want to cut at will be at a 10. My power will be at a 10, and I'll need to make 3 passes. Now, all of these settings are on the, let's see. Sorry, I want to save that. Let's add this setting onto my setting list. All of the settings, the recommended settings are on the Houston Acrylic website. So that's where I got them from. And then I did that little square cut to make sure I knew how they were going to cut for me. And I need 3 passes on this. So basically what 3 passes, it will cut the design 3 times around. So once I've done that, I'm ready to print, and I just select the print mode. And you can see, like, I'm really close up on the edge here. I may have to move that down just a little bit. Let me just move that down a smidgy. So I'm stopping the cutting there so I can adjust that, and I'll start printing. I'll start the print process again. Okay. So go back. And we'll just click print. So you'll see it's going to do the preparing of my print and everything. So unable to complete the print, an error occurred on your Glowforge. Okay, so I've never seen this message. I think that's because I was saucy with it and moved it around. So I'm going to turn it off. I'll unplug it and then turn it back on. Something interesting to know about the Glowforge is that it does not turn off. There's no on-off switch. So the only way that you can turn the machine off is to actually unplug it and then plug it back in. So it'll just take a minute to recalibrate and get set up. And while it's doing that, I do have some earrings to work with that we haven't done. So do you just want to see the process? I guess it's probably good if you're troubleshooting your own machine sometimes to know how to reset it if this happens. So it's going to just take a few minutes to do that. Let's stop share. And why don't I come over here I have this cute little design cut out to work with I thought it would be fun. I went ahead and cut. It's interesting how it says print, but I went ahead and cut out a design already. So we can, if we want to go to the overhead, I can pull this out. So this one is just a nice light wood that I used, and it's proof grade material. It has the masking on it. So I just want to remove that masking, and you just peel it right off. Now, if I were painting this, I could remove the little masking on just the areas that I want to paint. So where these little leaves are, let's say that's where you want to do the painting. You can just remove the masking on the leaves. Leave your other masking on. This allows you to do it and not have to be so precise with it. It's ready to print now, so we're just going to go ahead and get that set up. So I can just kind of remove where the leaves are going to go, just that little bit of masking. And then I can paint where that leaf is. So if I take my little paint pens here, and we can grab a nice green, a yellow, and a white, and we'll start with the green. So I just can take my little paint pen and start with the leaves and just kind of color those in a bit. Like that. And I don't have to worry about being so precise because, okay, so we're cutting out our next one. I don't have to worry about being so precise on it because it will just, the masking is also there and that will keep it from painting all around it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of green color to the leaves. And then I have the little outer daisy that needs a little color. So if I just peel off this little bit right here, if I want that to be, say, like a yellow, I can take my little painty pen and make that yellow. So I can just color that in right there. Now let that dry for a minute, and then I can come back and add some white to it. So the masking on the wood, you just take that off the rest of the design here. This is a fun little layered design. I was hoping we'd have time to cut it out as well, so you could see how the layered design cuts out. So we just kind of peel that right off. And you see where the masking tape was, I didn't have to worry about getting color onto it. This little leaf here, I had kind of pulled up my color from that to start with. So it did bleed a little bit. You guys can see it did a little bit of bleed there. You can tell. Am I still sharing my screen? No, okay. I want to make sure I wasn't sharing my screen. But see how cute that is? And then this little guy, now we can take off the other parts of the daisy. And if you want, I can just leave those a solid color, or I could paint them in white. Maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit hard to paint those in white tonight because they're so tiny. So before I glue this one on, I do want to clean off the edges of it. So we got all the masking off. There we go. All right, and then just to get that brown off, we will take a little white and just wipe the edges of it, and that will take that soot off. So we'll just take a little wipe here. And we'll just kind of pull that right off there. So you see how it gets a little bit of that soot off the edge. Some people will use alcohol. I find the baby wipes work great, but you know, whatever works for you, you want to do. And just get in all those little spots. You don't want to, if you're wearing these later down the line, you don't want to have that brown on your hands. And then you do want to remember to take your masking off the back side, because if you glue it down with that masking still on the back side, it won't stick, right? So we gotta get that taken off. Okay, so now if I wanted to, I could add like a little blue to it. I could add a little stain to it if I wanted to, or you can just keep it little on, like natural. So I'll use my E6000 glue. And we'll pop that right on here. So I'll just do a little tiny dab where the daisy's gonna go. And then we'll take our daisy and put that on there. So that's right, you'll see right where it fits on the design. A little bit of masking tape still on there, but that's okay. We can come back and get that off if we need to. But see, now you have like a little three-dimensional design there. And then all you have to do, again, is come back with your earring hardware. So we'll pull out a jump ring and an earring. and do the same process. So we'll take our little jump ring and open it. You can usually feel where the opening is. So we'll just kind of give that a little twist and open that. Put your earring on and put your little daisy on and then close it up. And that's it. That's all you need to do. And there are so many fun designs out there for Halloween and all, like back to school with little pencils and everything. So many cute designs that you can do. And this is the other one. I had the other little tip here, but I think it fell off. I mean, I think I knocked it off when I was pushing that through. But again, let's go ahead and we'll take the leaf off just where that is right there. Just take these right off. And this time I'm doing a better job. I'm only taking it off where the leaves are. Have that right out. Now your paint pens are in the I think they're in the paint aisle, like the pen aisle, you know, where they have like the individual pens. I think that's where the paint pens are, these little pens. These are such fun pens to use because they really do get really nicely into the tips and things. So I really want to make sure I have like a good angle for you guys. So I'll just take my little pen and paint that in. And you can see I'm really not being super careful about keeping it in line. And since I still have the masking on all of it, except for the leaves, that would not be a problem. So we'll just let that dry for a minute. And then hopefully I can find the other little piece there. So you can see these finished as they come. So we have about 2 minutes left on the other piece of it, on the acrylic that's cutting. And so those are the 2 acrylic projects to show you the. Now, when you get to the wood, and I'm looking at, sorry, I'm looking for the extra, my little piece, my little daisy piece. I'm sure it'll turn up. When you're looking for the wood, there's 3 different ways that you can work with wood material. One method is to cut the wood. So you can just do like a real simple design like this one, that you just cut the wood design out. Now, for these types of designs, I really do like that proof grade material because it has like a shiny finish to it. If you use, non-proof grade material, you may want to put like a veneer on it or something. So it'll get like that really nice shiny look to it. But if you're using the proof grade material, it already has that included in it. So the first method is to do the cutting. The second method is to do the cutting and add an engraving feature to it. So these little mushrooms, there's a little ghost mushroom and a little grumpy pumpkin mushroom. This is the proof grade walnut, and you can see it's got a bit of a shine to it. So when you work with these, again, you can paint these if you'd like to, the same method using the pens or any acrylic pen. I mean, acrylic paint will work just fine. So if you're confident with your hand skills and you're nice and steady with your cutting, you can use that type of, you can use just a paintbrush to fill in little holes or anything like that. I just thought these were so adorable just as they were. Like I didn't even think they needed anything else on them. So with something like this, then we can come back again, same method. We're just going to add our earring to it with the jump rings and create those that way. All right, we're cooling down now. So if anybody here would like to see a specific finished design, like I can start an engraving so you can actually see that in action. Or we can do, trying to think of the other designs I have prepared to do. if there's something specific you'd like to see, please do let me know. I'm happy to pivot and show something else. So if there's something you've been like, oh, I really wanted to see how to do this with earrings, we can certainly give it a try. Now, don't hesitate to use materials like felt or leather to make earrings with. Those are perfectly good types of materials to use. So there's our little pumpkins. Isn't that adorable? I love how that turns out. Okay, so we've done our, if you want to go to the front facing camera, I can pull out our earrings, are complete. And I can pull those out. All right, so let's see. Now, this is really getting a lot of debris in it, so I definitely will clean this out before I do any more cutting on it. And I didn't really realize I was putting these in the middle of the board. Okay. I'm going to use my little weeding tool, and we'll pull these right out. You can move the printer head if you need to get to your material. Sometimes you may need to do that. So there's our first ring, and you'll see it's got, when we get to the overhead camera, it's got a little bit of burn on the back of it, but with the masking on there, it really protects it. Okay. All right, so got those out, and then I can just pop this guy out. And I lost one of my little circles, so hopefully he's in here. Yep, down the side. All right, so I've got those, and we can, I can put those together. Now, my thought was I would do the rainbow part out of pink and this circle out of orange, or vice versa. So I can cut that up and we can get two different colors, or I can show you how to engrave on the wood if you'd like to see that. Do you guys have an opinion? Also, you can let me know if there's an opinion or if you'd like to see something.
I think the engraving would be cool to see.
Okay, perfect. Let's do that. And then while that's cutting, I can show you how we're going to put that one together. So for the engraving, let's use I used before. I used the veneer. Let me grab the veneer. Let's do this one for the little boot. So I'm going to go ahead and put my material in. And I kind of like to line it up so it's straight when it goes in. I do my best. Not always perfect. All right, let me share my screen again. Okay. So now on this one, we're going to change out our material. So I'm going to make my screen a little bit smaller here, and we'll change out our design here because we have a different material. Now I could, if I were doing like 20 different kinds of earrings out of the same material, I could certainly bring in more designs. But since I'm not doing that, but I also I think I resize these. I can't remember if I resize these or not. I'm just going to push these off to the side and say ignore. Now those will not cut, and they'll be on the side, they'll be ignored, and I'll just have this piece to work with. So I'll add, I have a little cute little boot to use. Going to my earrings, I have the wood engraving design here. And these are fun little boots. Now I've cut one out and I have it right here next to me. So for the boots, I really only need to do one of the boot designs, one side of the design. So let's enlarge this up a little bit. And what I'd like to show you is you are able to ungroup your design and delete just part of it. So if these were grouped together, that means I could move them around together. They're not grouped together. So I can just take that right boot, which I've already cut out, and delete that right out of the canvas. Now I have two layers. One layer has all this little intricate design here, and then the other layer is just the outline of the boot. So you see I have two layers here. Now, unfortunately, they both came in as cut, but this is the fancy filigree part of it. I want to convert that into an engraving feature and not cut it, because that would probably burn a hole right in the middle of my boot. So what I'll do is I'll have that as engrave, and I'll be using the medium cherry hardwood, and that is the Glowforge proof material. And then the second, the outline of the boot will be with the cut. Now, if you see over here where I've already cut the boot out, I did rotate the boot so that it was vertical instead of horizontal. So I'm going to select both of those layers, and using this little arrow at the top, I'm just going to rotate this around. Now you may be wondering, why is she rotating it? You don't need to rotate it. You're right, I don't need to rotate it, but your wood has a grain. So the grain can either be running sideways or up and down. If I don't rotate the boot, the grain would be different on the two earrings. So I want to make sure that I rotate that boot and keep the grain going in the same direction as the other boot that I've already cut out for you. So I'll stop sharing my screen so you guys can see as it comes through. So it's going to prepare to print, and it should do the engraving step first, and then it will do the cut step. These guys are set to ignore, so it won't even look at those pieces. It's just going to do the boot. But I left that on there, so if we have time, I can go back into the second color. So it's just calibrating itself. And I'm going to look for that daisy for a second. I hope I did not put it in the trash can. I can always cut that little top part off, put it back again if I need to. All right, so it's calibrating. Every time you cut, it will do the calibration portion of the cutting. So each time you cut, it'll be a little different. I'm going to go ahead and clean the side of my boot that's already cut. We'll just wipe that down. Let's see, I can feel the soot on the top of it too. So I'm just going to kind of clean that right off. And we're ready to print. So it'll take 4.5 minutes for this one to print. And meanwhile, we'll get this one cleaned off here. And the last part that you can do is what's called scoring. And scoring will just do the outline of your design. So I don't usually use the score feature. I like to mostly use engrave, but sometimes scoring is the move that you need. Okay, so we can just take this off, and you'll see again, probably don't even need my little weeding tool. Nice and big there. We can just pull that right off. Like that. And then now over here, you're going to have a lot of little pieces that we're going to want to make sure that we get that all taken off. So, and the great thing about this is that it is easier to see where those pieces are, those bits and pieces are. So we'll just take that off. Again, if you wanted to ink it, this is where you would take your paint pen maybe and just do that one layer. Maybe your little swoosh here would be another layer. So you could just, kind of paint that in if you wanted to as you go along. Just pull that right off. Now, as you're learning how to use your Glowforge, I really want to encourage you I started with the proofgrade material because it was kind of, it's foolproof. It works, the cut settings are right. You really don't mess up your material unless your machine isn't clean. Then you can it won't cut properly. So I start off with the proofgrade material, and then I started exploring out to other materials. I started with the Make Market wood that is available in the Cricut, in the Michael stores. It's like in the Cricut tech aisle. So I started working with that, and then I added I went to Home Depot and I got some wood. I just started really branching out and going, well, what happens if I try this? Now, I will tell you, the first time I did that, I had a scare because my machine said, hey, this is not proof grade material. You might start a fire. It wasn't exactly those words, but it was enough to make me feel like, uh-oh, this is not something I want to do. I should probably not do that. So I had to get over that fear and just go, you know what? Of course I can do it because they say you can do hundreds of different materials on their website. So I want to be able to use hundreds of different materials. So I just did it, and I had a fire extinguisher close by. I also, when it's in the summertime right now, it's a little bit too hot to take glowy outside. So I keep her inside, but on cooler days, you can take your Glowforge right outside and not even worry about, filtering it and anything like that. I do keep the filter tube on it. I don't know if you need to or not, but I do. And so I do that. But then I just let her go and I let her create when I'm outside. So that made me a little bit more fearless because I could, if it caught on fire like I feared, I was like, well, at least I'll be outside and I won't have to worry about that. So that was kind of my way of getting over it. So I want to, be cautious. Don't just throw anything in there, but, look up your settings and stuff like that. Go in the forums and ask people, what settings did you use to do this? Or I saw somebody did this and how did they do that? That you learn so much by asking those questions. You can engrave with this machine. So like at the holidays, if you get some boards, some cutting boards, and you want to engrave something on the cutting boards for people, like maybe you want to engrave a name or something on there, you can absolutely do that. You know what? I didn't realize this had 2 holes in it. I wanted to show the post, gluing the post on, but I think I have to do a little loopy one like that. I can't do the post. I could have removed that hole. Maybe that's the one that if I have time at the end here, we can recut just the top piece and I'll show you how I can remove one of those holes so that I get a nice just one hole in that earring and I can put the post on it. So I don't know. Do you want to go to the front facing camera and so we can see the boot coming out? So let's see the boot. He's adorable. So right out of the machine, you can see it cut in that little space. And it didn't go all the way through. So what that tells me, you can see it didn't go all the way through. What that tells me is my machine is ready for a cleaning, which I'm going to go ahead and do because this is probably the #1 issue or hang up you'll come across. So I'm sorry that didn't cut out. You did get to see it, the completed version of it here, that little guy. So I use these lens cleaners to start with. So you'll use these little lens cleaners and you'll clean off the top lens here. I'm gonna make sure that that's nice and cleaned off because what happens is as the laser's cutting, it's putting out little teeny tiny particles inside the machine. So you want to make sure that you get all those teeny tiny particles cleaned out as best as possible. Now there's a little fan in here that if you can get your little wipe in there, great, run that through. Also, after a little bit, you're going to need to get Q-tips with alcohol in there and really get in there and clean it. So when we talk about using these machines and the need to clean them on a regular basis, that is no joke. You really want to make sure you're doing that. Then I'm going to use some alcohol, and I usually have some lint-free little lint-free things that I use to do that. So we're just going to use this one. So it's just straight alcohol, and I'm going to run it on the rails here. So you're going to run it on the rails, and you're going to move your head down. You don't want to disturb that silver piece. You just want to move your rails up and down. Because what happens sometimes is if your rails aren't clean, the head will get stuck in one place or it doesn't move freely. So that's why it wouldn't cut all the way through. It just doesn't go across your surface smoothly. All right, I'm just going to come over here in the front. So now once I'm here, I just am going to clean up all the little debris that's around the edge. We're going to take out the crumb tray, and it is dirty. I can see a lot of soot on there. If you're using materials like pipe materials or things like that, you get a lot of sapish kind of material in there. So you want to clean that out. Now you will be amazed. I had cleaned this out a bit before we started. Not like a super hard one because I wanted it to get dirty for you guys. Look at all that dirt in there. So you really want to make sure cleaning it out is no joke. I'm going to grab my lint-free cloth here. I have my little lint-free cloth, and we're going to pick up all this. I want to kind of pick it up with a clean cloth so you can see how much is in there. That's just part of it. So we're going to take that out. So all that stuff in there can affect the quality of your cuts. So if you're having any trouble with your cuts, you really want to make sure that you come along, use your lint-free cloth, your alcohol spray. I'm going to put a little alcohol spray on my tray there, and I'll clean that off. And we're just going to come in, and you want to make sure everything is cleaned out and picked up. I don't think there's any material that doesn't leave little pieces in the machine. You get little paper pieces. See how dirty that is? You'll get paper in there. You'll get little burns of wood pieces, everything. If you have a little, there's little vacuums that go with the USB that you can use to really get in here and vacuum up. But you're gonna want to move this forward. So you can get back here as well and clean this area out. Get all that cleaned up. Once you have that cleaned up, then you're going to go on to your tray. And on your tray, you're just going to clean up that brown stuff and get that cleaned up and off there. And really, I do this a lot, like almost after every project. I'll just clean off the tray at least. If not, do a quick wiping on the inside. If it's the only project I'm doing that day, I definitely try and get it all cleaned up. But if I'm doing a bunch of projects, I'll just clean up the tray at least. So you can see like how much dirt is on there. And it may not seem like a lot. It's funny because I think when I first started, I'd be like, oh, that's nothing. That's no amount of dirt. But even that little bit can cause the laser to not do what you want it to do. So just keep it clean. Ugh. There we go. We'll clean it all up. We'll pop that back in. All right. Well, I think we are officially out of time. Thank you again so much for joining me. If you have questions, you can always reach out to the Glowforge community, to the Glowforge customer service directly. You can find me on Instagram at kesley.365. I'm happy to answer questions after your workshops if you still have them. And join us for more classes in the future. I do a Glowforge class about every month, and then I also do other technology classes with Michael. Caesar, Cricut, Silhouette, all the fun stuff. So I hope to see you in a future class. Thanks so much.